Hi, welcome to End Credit Reviews on episode of After the Credits on End Credit Reviews. This is Tyler from End Credit Reviews, and I have a very special guest star with me if you want to introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cierra White. I am a alumni from Northern Illinois University. I graduated in 2018, and after that, I took off to Hollywood, and I've been here ever since.
All right, yes, and I got to know her because a personal friend of mine who usually comes on the channel was mentioning her because she actually, well, according to him, he said that, well, she actually worked on, or at least knew some of the writers at Justice League, and I felt like this was the perfect time to do so, simply because of the fact that the Snyder Cut's coming up very soon, so I felt like this was perfect timing. I decided to reach out to her, and she agreed, of course, to this very interesting interview, and I'm very interested to see what she has to say about her experiences on that. So, my first question is, why did you decide to go to Hollywood? How long ago was this?
So, my first opportunity to go to Hollywood was in 2017. I wanted to move to Los Angeles. I've always wanted to move to Los Angeles and be a part of the entertainment world. And for me at that time, I wanted to change the narrative for women and minorities on the screen. And so I thought, what better way to do that than to move to Los Angeles and work in the entertainment world? So I thought the best way to go about that was to become a producer. And so I looked up and I heard about this creative producing program at UCLA. And I thought, surely it's UCLA. I'm not going to ever get in, but let me apply. And to my surprise, I got in. And with that education, it was incredible. I needed to get an internship. And so since I was moving to Los Angeles, I was like, I need not just one, but two internships. So I interned at Warner Brothers, at the Warner Brothers lot. There's a smaller production company called Mad Chance Productions. And I interned there. And then I also interned at another company called Primary Wave Entertainment, which is like a talent and music management company. And that's when I initially moved out to Los Angeles. So I would intern during the day from 8 to 5, and then I would go to class from 6 to 10 every night. And that was my life. But I loved it. I loved learning at UCLA. Part of our classes included hearing from incredible people in the industry, everybody from executives to directors to executive producers, literally everyone under the sun, somebody working in a different field or part of the entertainment world. And I just learned so much about what it takes to grow and be successful in the entertainment industry, as well as so many different positions that I didn't even know existed. I made a lot of great connections, and because of the connections I made there, I actually was able 2 years later to get a job working at a management company.
Okay, that also kind of answered my second question, but how long were you interning for then?
So I was interning for the summer of 2017. I was interning at Mad Chance Productions, and so a lot of times in the entertainment industry, actually what happens when it comes to scripts is different companies or talent, whoever, will receive a script, and it's somebody's job to read that script. So my job as an intern was to read scripts all day. So it'd be either a script, like a TV show, which is around like 30 minutes, or a feature-length film, which is around 120 minutes. I mean, pages.
Mm-hmm.
So each minute has a page. And as well as reading novels and trying to see which we think would be a great fit. So 8 out of the 10 things that you read are horrible and awful, and you just naturally feel that. You're like, what is this and what am I reading? And then every once in a while you come across something that you're like, this is really amazing and I'm willing to bet my job on it. And so I had a few of those experiences, and it's funny, I remembered their names, and later on at the company that I ended up working for, because of the connection that I made at that internship, we brought on that writer. And I'm like, I know that writer. I know she's amazing. I read her work, and I was willing to bet my job on we need to work with her. So that's one part of the entertainment world of what I did as an intern. It's called script coverage. When you read scripts and then you kind of write a report on it. And then I also worked at a talent management company, intern at a talent management company. And so that day to day literally looked different. It looks like organizing all of the upcoming TV shows and movies, which is really fun because I saved some of those pages and they've actually turned into TV shows and movies. And so that's really, really cool. Like with the same name at the same time. So they were going to turn into something, but they still have the same name. So that was really, really cool. I would edit reels for actors. So we had so many different people on our roster. And so anytime that they had new work, they would just send it over to me and I would update their reels for them. I did a bunch of other stuff there too. I would also do script coverage. I mean, I would read scripts, but I wouldn't have to do coverage, as in I wouldn't have to write a report. I would get to read scripts for movies that we were currently filming. So that was really fun. Like reading and turning the pages and knowing right now in Vancouver or in Los Angeles, we are filming this. You know, that was really, really fun. And then a lot of the talent that they represented would come into the office too. So I get to meet them and see them as well.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. Was there any specific scripts that stood out to you as at least that got made?
That got made. Okay, so that's a really tricky question because it takes anywhere from 2 years to 2 decades for a script to be made. So it could actually still be in the process of being made. But there was one script that I read. It was from a woman. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she was the one that we later signed when I ended up working at another company. And so I'm not sure about if that's turned into a movie, but essentially it was like a murder mystery about two girls that go missing and how the police / community go to find them and how the family kind of finds them. And it was really, really great. It's like a little thriller, suspense thriller. So I think it would be great to turn into a feature, but I'm not sure where they are at actually in that process. But some of the other shows included like oh my gosh, like Grownish, that's like on ABC, or 13 Reasons Why, or it's so tricky. like pretty much anything that's come out in the past 2 years, that's what I was seeing and trying to put our actors up for those roles.
Okay. Well, personally, I've written at least a few scripts within this past decade, and I was thinking about seriously considering submitting some of those into certain contests and that, such as the Blacklist, which has produced a lot of various movies that have been greenlit. Some have been box office successes, and some have been Academy Award nominated movies. And I thought about doing that and various other ones. So hopefully, if you're still doing that, would have been great to know. I could have maybe submitted a script for your feedback on.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. You should definitely continue to do that, as well as for anybody else that's out there that wants to be a writer. Continue to submit your work to film festivals like that, or screenwriting festivals, as well as literary management companies. So literary management company, that's one I ended up working for. They represent writers for TV shows and movies. And so submitting it to them, they might read, like an intern would end up reading it, usually just within the industry. An intern would read it, and if they were willing to bet their job on it and they thought it was really, really great, they would continue to pass it along to somebody at that company, and hopefully somebody might want to take you on as their client. But getting yourself out there as much as possible really helps, really, really helps.
I mean, now that I have more time on my hands since I'm done with college now, that's why I'm kind of seriously considering that more often. And I would love to have that happen, and I'll let you know if anything comes of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
All right, so the next question, which is a little bit more ambiguous because there's various other things that kind of tie into more specific questions. But the next one is, what are your favorite memories when it came to attending red carpet events or premieres?
I loved it. I just felt so honored and blessed to be there. A lot of things, something that I think most people don't know is that you can go to TV show, movie premieres, and award shows for free. I think that's something a lot of people don't even know exists. Now that we're in COVID and we're in quarantine, you're not able to do that as much. But like that's not happening right now. But before, you could go to those things for free. And so I would always sign up. Sometimes I would have a connection and that I would like get invited, and then other times I would sign up and go. And so it was incredible. It's incredible going to a movie premiere or a TV show premiere, because what happens is you are literally in the theater with the cast and crew and their friends and family. And so it feels like such a special family rare time before they play the film. So obviously there's no previews because they're not showing anything else. It's just this. Um, the director and the executive producers will come up and they'll talk about the film and they'll talk about the journey that it took for the film to be made, which is just really inspiring. And then they'll bring up the cast and they'll say some things, and then you watch the film, and then afterwards there's an after party, usually not in the same location, somewhere else. And so it's something that's so amazing, because watching a film is great. Like in Illinois, watching a film is so great. That's where I'm from. But then
Same
to
here.
watch it in in literally in Hollywood with the cast and crew, literally looking at Steve Carell or whoever, and you're like, wow, there you are, and here you are on the screen. Like it's something that's so special and rare, and it's so much fun, and you meet so many incredible people while you're there. So I have a lot of fond memories. I was able to attend TV shows, movie premieres, award shows. I would always find myself in front of the camera, not because I necessarily was like, put me there, but they were always like, hey, you should come over here. Are you comfortable with being on camera? That, as well as I would always end up getting and finding a way to the after party, which is so much fun if you have an opportunity to do that, because it's once again the cast, and it's just an even more intimate, smaller group of people. But it's just really cool because you see so many familiar faces. Like I'm a faces person, so I'm like, oh, there's that singer and that actor and that person and this celebrity, and so it's just a really cool, special place to be, especially when you're from small town in Illinois.
Yeah, I get that. I remember it was a big deal when they filmed that. I don't know if you remember this movie called At Any Price. It was with Zac Efron and I just forgot the other actor's name. They were there, and it was like a big deal. And I remember a cousin of mine went to the Speedway area, and she was low key, well, not really low key, but basically stalking Zac Efron and following him around with a group of other teenage girls and that.
Sounds about right.
And then I remember we were wandering around and we met this actress who was my age. Well, back then, not now she's my age, but we're the same age. We're born the same year. Her name was Micah Monroe, and I got to talk with her and chat her up. We did, me and my cousin. And years later, I saw a horror movie that she was in called It Follows, which is a really good horror movie. And then I remember watching the trailer for Independence Day Resurgence in theaters, and that's when I realized, I looked at my friend Steven, and I'm like, I actually met her in person. And he like looked at me with like popcorn in his mouth like, what? Because he likes her a good amount. And I was like, yeah, I just realized that. I was like, oh yeah, it just occurred to me that I actually met her in person and talked to her. Yeah, that was a big deal. And I remember later too, going outside this dining place that they were filming at. I was outside with a bunch of other people seeing if anyone was going to come out. And I remember this one car drove by and yelled, F you, Efron! That's just the PG version of that.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was very
Memorable.
interesting. That was about almost 10 years ago, which is hard to
Wow.
believe. But
That's
anyway,
awesome.
enough of me, more of you. This is about you, not me. But yeah, so of all the premieres, which one was the one you're like, this is my favorite one, whether it be a red carpet premiere to like a movie, award show, TV show?
My favorite, oh, it's tough. My favorite movie premiere was The Nutcracker and the Four Realms
Hmm.
by Disney. And the reason being is because that was the first time that I was ever invited to a pre-party.
Hmm.
And so when you think of Disney, you think of just like magic and wonder, and that's exactly what it was. So I was there like a few hours before the film, and the film was across the street. And you get there, and there's like a red carpet, and every face you see is a familiar face. Literally, everybody from the Disney world was there, um, like Disney TV shows and movies and stuff like that. They're all invited. I think they're probably all invited to every TV show and movie premiere. I'm sorry. So to go there and to walk into this incredible giant ballroom and to see people on stilts and to see like a candy bar and like there's food and there's drinks and I don't know why, but I just thought it's a Disney movie. There's not going to be alcohol. Well, but there was. And there's like gifts and there's like kids running around and Raven-Symoné and like a bunch of other people from the Disney world, like, the Disney family. And it was just literally amazing to be like because I know so many of them or seen so many of them and just to like see them there and to talk with them. And then we walked across the street to the theater and we watched it. So it's really cool watching a movie in an actual theater, like where they would perform on a stage. Like, so that was really, really special. And once again, I'm sitting around celebrities and we're just like chatting things up. So that was really, really memorable for me. And then the other one was I went to the Emmys, and I went to the Emmys by myself. Actually, I go to a lot of these things by myself and I meet people along the way. But I went to the Emmys, and one of my friends actually ended up being there. So we just kind of stuck together. And the Emmys, it was literally insane. I was sitting right in front of like the Game of Thrones cast. But then I was sitting behind Ava DuVernay and like the When They See Us cast. So I was like, what am I doing here? I'm like, here I am sitting in this seat. And that was really, really amazing. I learned a lot about award shows and how they film. My email just went off, so I don't know if you heard a ding, but okay. I learned a lot about award shows and how they film and how they cycle different people up. So if you're going to win or they think you're going to win, they'll bring you closer to the front and to the outside seat, like as if you were going to win the award. And then if not, you can go back to your regular seat. So that was really, really cool. Also, like since I was sitting in front of the Game of Thrones cast, I had just watched Game of Thrones. And so when you're around celebrities, you really have to know how to act, because if you want to stay around them, you can't be a fangirl. Do not pull out your phone. Don't ask them for a job. Like, if you're going to say something, make it short and sweet, or don't say anything at all. Just take in and absorb that memory. So I'm sitting in front of the Game of Thrones cast, and I hear them giggling, and I'm like, what are these guys laughing about? And I look back, and they're over there passing around a flask, and they're having the time of their life. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I see like Bronn and, Jorah and I don't know, like Samuel Tarly, like, like these different characters on Game of Thrones, like sitting behind me. I'm like, what is going on? Oh, they're over here giggling because they're feeling real good right now. And then so after the Emmys, at one point I had to like move to a different seat, and so I find myself sitting next to this woman. Didn't think anything of her. She just kind of reminds me of like your average like Midwest mom. We're chatting, and she's like, hey, are you going to the governor's ball? And the governor's ball is the after party minutes after you're leaving the Emmys, where everyone goes. Anybody that was in a TV show or a movie that was nominated or won, that is the party that they're going to. And I was like, oh, I mean, I want to go, but she's like, well, you need a ticket. Do you have a ticket? And I was like, I don't have a ticket. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm telling you this story. And so we were just like shuffling out, and I'm like, talking to the cast of Schitt's Creek, and I'm like, I love you guys, you're the best. Like it's a little different, like if you're leaving and moving past them, not like I'm stopping to, hunt you down, but I just like told them like, I think your show is great. And so here we are just shuffling along, and, seeing the cast of, This Is Us, and I'm just shuffling through, and I'm like standing next to RuPaul, who's like 3 million feet tall, and I'm just shuffling through. This woman's like, okay, so I have a ticket, but I have this other ticket that's not a real ticket to the award, to the after party. But if you flip it over, the backs look the same. And if you hold up the back, I think I can sneak you in. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? Wait, are we really going to try this? She's like, we're going to do it. And guess what, you guys? I got into the Emmys just like that. Now, I'm pretty sure not if you guys have heard this, nobody else will be able to get into Emmys this way, but it worked for me. It was wild. I walked in, it was literally a world of only celebrities. Any person that was in a TV show or in a movie in the beginning of 2019, that's who I was around. It was absolutely incredible. There was like a live band, there was food. I like spoke with Amy Poehler and the cast of This Is Us, and like oh my gosh, like the like it was just wild. You walked into a room, and as soon as you walked in, they were like, "Oh, which table would you like to go to?" And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "All the TV shows are sitting in their own table. So that's Veep, and this is them over here, and this is that over there." I was like, "Wow." You're walking around the party, and Emmys are just sitting on tables because it's not a party that just anybody can get into. But it was amazing, and I met some really amazing people, got to speak with some really amazing people. The food was incredible. The drinks were amazing. It was just like all you can eat, all you can drink, celebrities everywhere. And I had so much fun. Her name is Deb. So shout out to Deb for sneaking your girl in to the Emmys just because I ended up sitting next to her and we were chatting it up. And she was like, I want you to come with me.
Okay, yeah, I want to circle back to the Disney Nutcracker movie later on.
hmm
But yeah, that's really amazing. That's a really nice story of insider information and stuff that most people probably didn't even know about. So I really appreciate that knowledge that you just gave.
hmm
Okay, so into the meat of the discussion, which a lot of people probably will click on the video for because of the relevance of it, is what exactly do you remember with your experience being in the same room with the writers of the movie Justice League, or at least working on entering at Warner Brothers when they were working on the movie Justice League?
hmm So a few things I remember. When I was interning at Warner Brothers, I was in the writer's block. So the first building in the writer's block is DC. And so I would walk by there every day, and that was really, really amazing. And since right across from DC, there's a soundstage. Also next to that soundstage is the Ellen soundstage. And so I would see them working on that film, and I would see just this giant soundstage that was open when they weren't filming, obviously. I remember when I would walk into work and I would see this giant soundstage and it was just full of a green screen. And I would see the trailers for the cast of the Justice League. And I just remember it feeling so incredibly magical and like, this is really what I'm here to do. Like, I'm really a part of the entertainment world. Even like going to lunch and seeing Gal Gadot sitting literally right outside of the door of where you're working, and them just kind of working out her scene and what they want her to do next. And it was really, really incredible. I, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my experience of it. It just felt so surreal to be like a girl from like small town in Illinois to then here I am literally outside of the set watching the actors go in and out for their scenes, and here I am just like reading another script. It was just really, really surreal.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, do you remember seeing the actor who plays Superman, Henry Cavill? I think that's how you pronounce his last
Yes.
name.
Yes.
From what I've heard, he still had the mustache on because he was obligated to keep it when he was working on the current Mission Impossible movie that they were filming at the time, so he couldn't shave the mustache off. So there's this controversy where they had to digitally remove his mustache by computers, and people pointed out how it looked awkward in certain shots. You could tell. I mean,
Mhm.
did you see the actor at all, or?
I saw him, but because it's been like 3 years ago now, I don't remember the mustache or not. I'm so sorry.
Okay, I was just wondering.
But, but I do remember seeing like the cast, everyone. And I believe I was there when I was working interning at Warner Brothers. I believe that's when they were doing the reshoots for the film. But yeah, I just remember seeing like all their costumes and them going out of like hair and makeup and yeah, just like walking from their trailer into set.
Yeah, I was wanted to ask you about if you remembered anything about the Henry Cavill mustache thing, because some people were jokingly said that they just put like some kind of sock thing or something on his like mustache, like green screen
No.
thing to try to
Oh,
remove it or
geez.
something. Because that would have been
I
hilarious if that
that
was
I do
the
not
truth
remember.
or just a joke.
That I don't remember. I know, like I think I took some videos back in 2017 of like the outside of their trailers and stuff like that, but I don't remember. I don't remember his
Okay,
mustache. I can't.
this is kind of well connected to it as well, but did you watch the movie Justice League, and what do you think of the movie?
I did watch the movie Justice League, and I really liked it. I think the thing, so within the entertainment world, everyone's like, entertainment business side, people are like, everyone likes superhero movies. They're meant for a large group of people to like. Very similarly, everyone, not everyone, but like a lot of people like Fast and Furious movies. The point is for a lot of people to like them. So I did watch the Justice League movie and I did like it. To be fair though, I wasn't as versed in the DC world, but I definitely watched and definitely would support everything like Warner Brothers and DC because we were working in the same block. So, but I do remember going to the theaters and watching the movie for sure.
Okay, yeah, I remember seeing it in theaters and I remember liking it, but then I kind of look back on it years later. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really hold up, and I would much rather see the original cut by the director and seeing,
Mhm.
what really was supposed to happen. And thankfully, we are gonna be getting that pretty soon.
Which
But
is so
yeah, and
exciting.
then of course, back to what you were saying about one of your favorite events attending was the premiere of Disney's The Nutcracker in the Four Realms.
Hmm.
And do you remember seeing or meeting any of the cast members of that movie?
Hmm. I, that is a really good question. I don't remember meeting actually any of the cast members of that movie. I do remember speaking to Raven-Symoné. I remember speaking to, I think her real name is Hannah. She's like the teenage version. Sorry. I remember speaking to Raven-Symoné. I remember speaking to the actress that is in This Is Us, and she plays a teenage version of Kate, and I believe her name is Hannah something. Like, I think it might start with a Z, Hannah. I can look it up really quickly. But I remember speaking to her. I remember I was sitting next to like one of the girls from Dance Moms, like on Lifetime, like she was there. I remember seeing some other Disney kids that were on like Raven's Home. Let's see, who else did I see? I saw a bunch of people, and then I just saw like young kid actors because it was a Disney movie that they invited them as well. Yeah, I saw Mario Lopez, spoke with him for a little bit. Like he's not in the movie or necessarily like on Disney Channel or anything, but Mario Lopez spoke with him. Yeah, there's just like a bunch of people from Leona Lewis, the British singer.
Hmm.
We were chatting about our outfits and she's like, I really love your dress. I'm like, thank you, I love your dress. So I spoke with like people that were I don't remember speaking to the cast, but just other celebrities that were at the party as well.
Okay. Do you remember? You usually would say that a director or a producer would go on stage and give a speech before the movie played. Did any of the
Hmm.
directors of that movie, go up and give a speech before the movie played? If do you remember that?
Yes, every movie premiere that is the protocol that they will go up there and they'll talk about the film and they'll give some words and it's always really inspiring and it just especially for someone that like loves the entertainment world and entertainment business. It's just so inspiring just to hear and just to see. And then the movie started and it was great. It was just like such a unique experience to watch a movie in a like performing arts theater. Like you don't get a chance to do that very often. And then on top of that, like with the cast and crew and then other people within like the Disney family, it was just really, really special. And a really cool opportunity to do that.
Okay. I meant to ask as well in relation to Justice League. What did you personally think of the movie Disney's Nutcracker in the Four Realms in terms of quality?
Hmm. I think it was really, I think it was good. I think it was different. You know, I think the effects were cool. It the tough part for me is like it's a movie generally for children, and so it's not like it wouldn't necessarily have been my favorite movie to go see, like favorite genre of something like, oh, a new Disney movie's coming out. As an adult, what was I, 27 at the time? I wasn't gonna, wasn't like not thinking about a child's movie at the age of 27, but the experience was really, really cool. And I thought it was really beautiful and well done. And it was different, very different, like from any other Nutcracker version of anything I've ever seen. It was definitely a fresh take. Having the four realms, I think they were all the four seasons. So, like, summer, spring, winter, and fall, winter. But yeah, so that was really, really unique and really, really cool to see something like, the Nutcracker that we all know and love and like can think about, especially when it comes to the holidays, and then to watch it, a Disney version, and like it have such a fresh and different feel with them being in these different seasons of the world.
Okay, because I remember asking, Steven about this, and aside from mentioning that you worked on the movie Justice League, he told me that you also attended the premiere, and I
Mhm.
asked him what did she think of the movie, and he told me that she was like, it was a movie, or it was fine.
Exactly. I was like, how do I nicely say that? Like,
It was a
oh,
movie.
well, it's
Put
not
that on the home
necessarily.
video, like a review cover. Cierra White says it's a movie in quotes.
No. Like that sounds horrible. It's just like when you're like imagine your 27-year-old self. You're not thinking necessarily of a kids movie to go see. However, having that opportunity, it was an amazing one and it was such a memorable one and I wouldn't change it or trade it for anything. But yeah, it was cool. It's a
Yeah, I was
movie.
just, I would say that I sort of would agree with you on that because I felt like the movie was, well, I made a video about it. I thought the movie was a hot mess because what I liked about the movie was I liked the visual style. I liked how they were trying to make it look as realistic as possible with the sets, and I also liked the use of Travasky's music from the original Nutcracker music, play. And also I liked the lead actress of the movie, Mackenzie Foy. I think she's a really good actress. I don't know if you've seen the movie Interstellar. She was in that with Matthew
Mm-hmm.
McConaughey, and there's this
Mm-hmm.
really great scene where she's getting emotional, and because he has to go away and may never come back. It's a really great scene that really tugs on your
Mm-hmm.
heartstrings, and I think she's, yeah, again, really good actress, and she's probably gonna have a pretty good future despite whatever happened with this movie in terms of quality or financially. And I just didn't like the movie was kind of like an Alice in Wonderland ripoff, and I don't like the whole surprise villain cliche that Disney's been doing a lot in the past 10 years or
Mm-hmm.
so, where it's like, oh, surprise, I'm the villain now. I've
Mm-hmm.
never been a fan of that. And
Yeah.
when Keira Knightley, as soon as it revealed she was a villain, it's like she turned to a Joel Schumacher Batman villain. Like, remember Uma Thurman as like Poison Ivy, or like Jim Carrey as the Riddler from the '90s, and that. That's what the vibe I got from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool that you remember so much details about that, even though it's been a few years since that's happened.
Mhm.
And that. But anyway, sorry to ask you that part. So my final question to you is, so I take it you're no longer interning there, but would have you done anything differently, or do you think everything was perfectly fine? I wouldn't want to change anything about it.
I think I think something that I don't think I would change anything. And the reason being is because I I went into the internships being really intentional with the people that I would meet. So even within the internship at Warner Brothers, we would have different speakers come in and speak to us as well. Even though I was in the UCLA program and I had like classes, and one of the classes where we would have other people from the entertainment world come in, I don't think I would change anything because I made such incredible connections that helped to land me my my being able to cut my teeth in the industry. I think um, there's like a lot to the entertainment industry, which I like we can totally go into and talk about that a lot of people don't know up front and would it's kind of it can be very discouraging to break in because everyone like every job there's a 2 year require like you have to have like 2 years of experience, but then no one wants to give you experience, and so it's really hard breaking into the entertainment world. But it's not impossible. I don't have a rich uncle or aunt like I'm not related to anybody in the entertainment world, didn't know anybody when I came out here. And so for that, I wouldn't change my internship experience because I truly did make the most. Every time we would have a guest speaker come, I would always take notes, being the only person taking notes and being like, wow, what they're saying is really important. And I would try to thank them at the end of the talk and be like, hey, thank you so much. This is what you taught me. And in doing that, I ended up getting people's email addresses. And then when it came time for me to look for a job, do you want to know who I went to? All of those people that I already made a good connection with. I wasn't necessarily thinking, oh, they're going to get me a job later down the road. I was just being my genuine self of like, wow, they're giving me so much wisdom and I'm not going to be able to remember this all. So let me write it down and let me thank them because I don't want to take for granted that I had this moment, with the like executive producer of La La Land or whoever. And so I would try to be thankful and take that time and then reach out to them and constantly reach out to not constantly like every 10 minutes but every few months or so, just like, hey, following up, just wanted to see how you're doing, I hope all is well, and staying in contact with people because then when it comes time, you just know like things in the entertainment industry move so fast. And I was on the business side of things. So I'm not an actress. I wasn't necessarily pursuing something in front of the camera. So I was, corporate side, the entertainment business, where deals are made and that kind of thing. And so those are such great resources to have. Even if you hated your internship, which I didn't love my internship. I loved where I interned at. I loved being on the Warner Brothers lot and running around and like bumping on set, just like running into things on set and like just exploring the lot. Like I love doing that, but I found it really challenging for me to like sit in a room and read for 8 hours a book you don't even like. Like, so it's one thing if you like to read, but imagine you reading the worst thing in the world and you have to finish it. Imagine that being your internship. You're like, I don't want to do this. So it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about stories and what would make great stories. I used a lot of what I learned from even NIU, Northern Illinois University, about learning about the 12 steps of the hero's journey and trying to apply that to the scripts that I was reading. It's definitely in the connections that you make. And being from the Midwest, we're more so like, if you work hard, your work will be rewarded. Well, in the entertainment world, you can have half of the talent, but know everybody, and you would be the most successful person versus you working really, really hard and not knowing anyone. So it's like, it's an interesting mixture and it's an interesting balance. But I mean, I ended up working for one of the nicest people in the entertainment world because of it, representing writers and directors of like so many incredible TV shows and movies. It was just insane. Like the the person that wrote Legally Blonde and 10 Things I Hate About You, to the person that wrote Bad Boys 3 and Bad Boys 4, to the person that wrote Gemini Man. I know I just like thought of Will Smith there twice, but the spinoff for Game of Thrones, like you just meet some of the most incredible people because I was intentional with one of my guest speakers, and her name's Hannah. And then later on, Hannah ended up getting me a job at where she worked at another company. And you just never know. So I wouldn't trade anything. I learned a lot, and I learned a lot about what I loved and what I didn't love. And I think all of that information is valuable as you continue to adapt and move forward and pivot into what you want to do next.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And, I think when you mentioned the whole 12 steps of the hero's journey, I think that was Joseph Campbell, who was a very, knowledgeable individual that really inspired George Lucas when he came to writing at least the first Star Wars movie. And yeah, I do think some of the most helpful writing advice that I've seen, at least on the internet, from experienced writers, they said the best advice you can give to someone is to write a story that only you feel like you can actually tell. It's better to write something original that's not based off someone else's work. Instead, write
Mhm.
something that you're like, okay, this is a story I feel like is from me. This is my original idea. Or maybe if you want to adapt something that's kind of vague enough that you can make it your own, that would
Mhm.
also work too. And
Mhm.
that. And also, yeah, it's really important to read other scripts that you really like of some of your favorite movies to see like, okay, how what's their writing style, what works, what doesn't work. I feel like, yeah, I certainly agree. Just get into that industry, or at least trying to get your foot into the door. There is the best way to do it. It's unless you actually are born to the industry. I feel like it's just an upward battle, but it's sounds like it's really worth it, at least to try to get some of your material made, or at least have those experiences that you've had. And I hope to someday have some of my, at least one of my stuff greenlit, and I'll let you know if that happens and that sort of
Yeah.
deal. But anyway, as we're wrapping up, is there any like funny memories that you have of your internship, or anything you're like, oh, that was a not very good like day, but you look back and you kind of laugh about it?
Hmm. I think it's a funny day or a weird day. I think I think what was interesting, I don't know, this like will change. It's up to you if you want to add this piece in. But when I was interning in 2017, this is this is right before the Harvey Weinstein stuff happened. So that happened in October. And I was interning in the summer right before that. And so what I witnessed was a lot of, I didn't meet or encounter Harvey Weinstein, but I encountered that kind of a harassment to other people, other women, like men harassing other women in the workplace, and thinking, this is really weird and should not be acceptable. And then, like, the Harvey Weinstein story broke, and then in 2018 there was like the Me Too movement, and so it kind of began a cultural shift within in the entertainment world. But it was interesting. I remember over the summer of 2017 learning about, like, we literally were talking about really successful men and how are notoriously they notoriously treat people horribly, but they still get to keep their jobs. And like that was something we were talking about, literally laying the foundation for what was to come just months in advance of how it would end up shifting and changing the industry. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. That was something that I was like, wow, that was interesting just to kind of like be on the forefront and seeing that, and seeing how those people did lose their jobs and kind of companies fell because of that. But in the end, it was the right thing to do. Let me think. Anything funny though? Hmm. I don't know.
That's
I
okay.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of in the back of my mind when you're mentioning the timeline that you were there, because I was just curious about that. But since you brought that up, I was like, I just wanted to go a little bit more, talking about that. How, well, yeah, mainly, women were preyed upon, but also there were stories
Mhm.
about how some men were actually harassed as well, like Terry
Mhm.
Crews, and also Brendan Fraser. I don't
Yeah.
know if you remembered him. He was in the
Mhm.
Mummy movies, back in the day, and he said that part of the reason why he was in as many roles by the later half of the 2000s and onward was partially because, someone harassed him and inappropriately touched him, and he like refused the advances, and that he didn't really say the name. But yeah, it just happens. I feel like we should seriously take any kind of accusation from from both sides and that. And because yeah, it's not just the women, but also the men are not, safe from that happening too, which of course, every work environment should really, of course, be free of that, and everyone really should be professional. I mean, you can have, thoughts on someone in that, but you should also keep in mind that, like, yeah, this is an actual other person, and I should respect them if they aren't interested. Like, okay, sorry about that. And also what you were saying earlier, that when you see someone famous, don't try to fanboy out or something like that, unless you're at like some convention where it's kind of expected. I remember I couldn't resist fanboying out when I met the voice of Batman, Kevin Conroy, a few years ago with Steven and that. But yeah, I just had to remember, respect them, know that, like, they're also someone like you, and that they're not, some higher deity from another world and that sort of deal, but also, respect their space, and that know that they have a personal life too, and just be, cool about it. Like, hey, this is pretty cool, nice seeing you, and that sort of deal. If you encounter them in person and that. So I feel like, that's what my code is personally for that, and just to, try to be cool about it and also respect them as well. Their boundaries.
You're reminding me of the first award show that I went to. I went to the People's Choice Awards, and I went by myself. My very first award show, I went by myself. I was so nervous. I think I was in LA maybe a month, maybe 2 months. I wasn't there long. And when I went, it was just kind of serendipitously that I actually was able to sit at a table. And the table I was sitting at ended up being the table that won the most awards that night. So I was sitting at a table. I'm like the only non-celebrity at this table. It was actually hilarious. It was pretty comical. I was sitting next to Gwen Stefani, Blake Shelton, Carson Daly, Denai Grelita. I think she's the like main Wakanda warrior from Black Panther. Susan, who's like the mom in This Is Us. And oh man, there's this other woman. Oh shoot, Palm, I think is her name. She's also in the Marvel movies too. I think she's in Guardians of the Galaxy. But it was just a really funny night, and I remember like right behind me, like I could tap the shoulder of like Scarlett Johansson, and the table across from me were like all of the Kardashians, and that was weird. They're really tiny people. With my like what's the youngest one's name? Chloe. She's actually really tall, but just like seeing so many familiar faces, and it's just funny, like sitting at that table, and Gwen Stefani's like, "Hi, I'm Gwen Stefani," and I'm like, "Oh, I know," but you can't say that. You just have to be like, "Nice to meet you. I'm Cierra," and seeing celebrities meet each other for the first time, you're like, "Oh yeah," even though I recognize you guys, that doesn't mean you guys already know each other. And so we're all just like people sitting here chatting and getting to know each other. And I don't know, it was really, really special and really cool and really, really funny. And my friends were like, "Cierra, I see you." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. This is wild." But yeah, I think cherish those moments in your heart because they're so special and so rare. And I don't know about other people, but I definitely can feel sometimes imposter syndrome, like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here, but then just believing like I belong in every room I set my foot in. I really do. And we're all just humans, and they're not better than me. We're all just people at the end of the day. So I don't know, yeah, keep that in mind to just stay grounded when you're around really cool, exciting people, and just share some stories and tell your grandkids later.
Yeah, that's a really cool last edition to close out on a very happy and positive note. But anyways, so thank you a lot for agreeing to this interview. I really love all of the memories and knowledge that you just shared on here, and I'm really happy my friend Steven mentioned you as well, and I feel like, okay, this is someone I really want to get to know and to interview and know her personal experiences in Hollywood and that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for bringing me on. I'm so honored. And if you have any more questions about Hollywood or how to break in or what's it really like, I can let you know also.
Okay, sure, sounds cool. And feel free to, message me any like photos or videos from any of your time interning at Warner Brothers or any of those movie premieres or red carpet events or anything like that. Would be really cool to show visually for this video and that. But anyway, so this is Tyler from Anchor Reviews, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of After the Credits on Anchor Reviews. And I really like to thank the guest of mine for being a part of this talk here, and I hope to make a lot more in the future. Please like and subscribe.